Welcome to the Undiscovered Gems podcast, hosted by NBA legend and business powerhouse Charles D. Smith, highlighting today's best and brightest business minds.
Welcome to Undiscovered Gems. My name is Charles D. Smith, and I'm the host. Today, we have Rachel Pezzuto. Rachel is a licensed addiction drug counselor, and she works with the court systems. Rachel has a great story to tell on how she got into this business, the people that she impacts and helps on a daily basis, and the lives she turns around from her professionalism. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Rachel, why don't you tell the audience? I always like to know, how did you even get into this business?
We don't have much time, so I'll keep it short. Let's see. I was damaged. I was 13 and I got stalked by a 56-year-old man who attacked me, and I had to put him away in court. So a 13-year-old standing up in the witness box, explaining what happened and how he was following me and whatever was so traumatic that one of the jurors even had to leave. So I got through it, sent this person off to jail, and when we walked out, my Italian parents turned around and said, okay, water under the bridge. It's over and done with. We're going home. Let's not talk about it again. Well, as you'll begin to see, I'm a little bit hyper, and I ruminated and kept fixating on it. I turned to drugs and drinking. Granted, I was at that promiscuous age, and so everything just kind of fell into party scene. I cleaned up my act when I was 21, when I lost a cousin, because I was out with her. And she went one way home and I went the other way home, and she passed away, and I had survivor's guilt. So I knew I had to get into some kind of recovery. And so I went to AA meeting because one of my father's friends told me, since I was a drugger, go to the opposite meeting because you'll understand the message of what they're saying and not be triggered. I got a sponsor, but still, I didn't love myself. I was still damaged, and I chose all the wrong suitors. You name it, physical, mental, psychological, social, they checked the box, and I was a victim of a lot of domestic abuse. Finally, the last one that I had, tried to put what was it? What is the device? Some device on his car and say that I did it. And I went to court, and as I was in court fighting for my innocence, I realized again that I was damaged and broken, and I needed help. So I went to a CBT counselor and went to IOPs, which is intensive outpatient programs, and really kind of like worked on me. My mom was my hugest supporter. She stayed with me, and I built myself from the ground up. I knew I turned away from God, and I turned back to God, but I really needed to love myself. And through the whole process, the judge, I got vindicated, and it proved that the ex-boyfriend stuck the machine on his car, and good riddance to bad rubbish. I stepped into the light. And so I went into the recovery field because one of the teachers at one of the programs told me that I would make a great recovery coach. So reinventing myself 1,000 times over, with my master's, I said, let's do it. This is something that, if I can work on me while I'm helping somebody else and be accountable And hence I worked for a company for a while. COVID hit, they closed their doors, and then I opened up my own business.
So Rachel, I'm sorry to hear what you go through, but yes, the people that go through the things that they're soon to be clients, from the experience, you are most suited, best skilled, and from empathetic standpoint, compassionate standpoint, knowledge, and you know how they feel, you know what they go through. So I
Right.
can see how you've become such a great counselor in this field. Um,
Thank you.
at what age, or what time period did you understand that, you know what, let me help people in this field and begin that path?
My mom was a great role model,
Mm.
and she was a principal. So when I was in college cleaning up my act, I became a teacher and taught for 18 years. Then one of my family members got sick, and so I went to school for nursing and helped out there. So I've always been in the caretaker kind of role of
Sure.
whether it was children or patients. But I found my niche because I can relate and speak, like you say, to them. And I'm not your typical counselor. I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh, how do you feel about that?" and sit back.
Uh,
I'm going to
right.
brainstorm and say, "Okay, listen, let's dive into this and figure out, some options here. And then let's play the Russian roulette game on what works."
Right.
Um,
And they can't get over on you either.
No,
I'm sure you.
no. No, I have a 5-year-old son, and I swear to God, he became my savior for me, because I was told that I couldn't have children, and
Mm,
when I was 42, I got pregnant, and it was like I was doing everything right that God blessed me with the one regret that I had, and
yes.
so now I have no regrets.
Right.
Which is pretty hard to do, but I think when you sit down and you make your list of what your regrets are, you can tackle them. Because if I can change, anybody can change.
That is true. And for every client that you receive, to help in counseling, you believe in your heart of hearts that they can change, and you have the will and experience to get them to see that they can change. So
Yeah.
that's very important. Talk to us a little bit about what you do at the court system. How do you go about it? How do you end up getting a client, and how do you go about helping them?
So I got on this vendor list. It's CPCS, and it's a vendors. You can, if like lawyers are looking for a social worker, my name will pop up. And it also has like a record of how many people you help out with. So I'm pretty up there, because when somebody comes to me and needing treatment, I'll bend over hell and high water to get them into treatment, because I believe that's where they should be and not in jail. Um,
Mm.
but it's like a database. If you need, say, like a forensic scientist, you would go to this vendor website and type in forensic scientist, and then whoever would pop out. Or so but yeah, I had to get vetted by it, and the judge, through my case, sent me some high recommendations, and that's how I got on the list. So now lawyers contact me directly and say, I have a client that's in holding that needs treatment, and go out to the jail, meet the client, get the forms that I need, get things signed off, do a biopsych on them, and then get them into treatment.
So share with us, with obviously without mentioning names, what was your toughest? Can you remember your toughest client? And you probably had a lot of them, but I'm going to add a little bit to it. Your toughest client that you actually had a breakthrough and helped that client, but it was a rough, challenging road.
I'm flooded with a few.
I'm
Overall, I had one for a year that I kept going to the ER when she would overdose. She would call me
mm,
at all hours, and I would just be there and just hold her hand and say, "Okay, are we ready for a detox now?" And she'd be like, "No,
mm.
I'm not ready." And I'd be like, "All right, can I take you out for coffee next week?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, yeah." And I just never gave up on her. For 2 years, I would constantly go to her
Wow.
and just try to give her a different way. Say, "Hey, come with me to a meeting," or "Let's go to the beach
I
and
want to.
meditate."
I want to interject because this is important. Why didn't you not give up on it? 2 years. That's a long time.
It is a
Why
long
didn't?
it is a
What
long
did?
time. Maybe I was a little it was in the beginning of me being a recovery coach for this company. And
Okay.
um I saw her at rock bottom, and it just
Mm,
reminded of me being at rock bottom.
mm-hmm.
And she was she's was so thin and so frail. And
Mm,
it just broke me, and it just spoke to me that, like, I resonated with her, and if I could help her on her journey and get her to where her dreams were, because we would, go to the beach and we would meditate and we would talk. And so, are you ready for detox yet? No, I'm not. All right. Okay. Why don't we do some recovery Bible? Let me ask you some questions. Let me do some stuff. Um, no, oh, sorry. RJ, can I? Okay. Okay. So this is my son. He gets very jelly bean. He
That's
hears me
awesome.
talking and he does it. But so this person really just um it's been 5 years now, and she's been sober for two and a
Mm,
half.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just yeah, I just each one of them pulls at my heartstrings. There's not one over another one. She was definitely my hardest, but it took me a while to make the connection that I was damaged
Right. Right.
until, you know what I mean, the court systems came in and kind of said, like, this is a serious charge. And I was like, but my fingerprints weren't on it. You know what I mean? And I had the gift of innocence, but to be in the court system, unfortunately, you're guilty before you're innocent. You're
Right.
and it's just it's they it unfortunately speaks that way, that's the way the system works.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
it is because there's a lot of great lawyers, and it's not
Yeah.
the lawyers doing, and there's a lot of great judges, and they have a good heart. I
Yeah.
mean, for the one judge that was seeing my case and saw all the work that I did, to help me to become a vendor, that's the positive side. But I mean, like life and anything, there's always a negative and positive about things. It depends on how you
Sure.
see it. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what I do in my counseling is to label things so we can see a pattern to say, okay, you're negative here. Why are you negative? Not all people are bad. Not all people are good, but you have to be whole yourself.
Right. So, when people in your field of work, you take on a lot of emotional responsibility
Hmm.
to others. How do you get rid of that? Did you go through a process when you were taking it home and you realized you were wearing, all these emotions of other people all day long?
Oh, look at the
Um,
bags under my eyes. It's still forever. Still forever. I mean, I always take it home because I'm always thinking, because especially with me being ADHD and hyper, I think out of the box. And so, like, some of my best thoughts will be driving home and I'll grab the notebook and start writing, or in the middle of a dream, I'll come up with an option and write it down in my notebook next to my bed. And so I
Mhm.
do always take it home. It's hard not to when you're dealing with somebody's life. Um,
Well,
and
what's your outlet?
my
What is your outlet? How do you Oh, is
my
that right?
my son. I just lost my mom last year, and she was she was my everything. She was my best friend, my Achilles heel, my own principal. I mean, she
Mm,
loved me to death. I God's grace, I look like her. Um, but yeah, and now it's my son. I mean, the way he looks at life and reinvents, and his energy, it's just he's amazing.
right. Yeah, we all need that outlet. That's what I was uh, wondering, because that's a lot of emotion to carry
Mm.
on a daily basis. So the name of your business is,
Recovery Journey Services.
and how did you come up with that name? When did you start it?
I started it in COVID. I worked for a company for about 8 years, and then COVID hit and they closed the doors. But I had 80 clients that I wasn't gonna let them fall through the
Wow.
cracks.
Did you say
So
80?
yeah,
80?
yep, yep, yep.
Don't wait, wait, wait. How do you have one person? How do you have 80 clients? What is your, I mean, the phone? I mean, are you receiving calls all the time?
Oh yeah,
Is it
oh
periodic?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, no, really, how is that you have 80 clients and they're all very,
yeah.
dependent? They're depending on you.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Um you really learn time management.
Which you
Um,
got.
you really do. And, like, I'll schedule meetings with my clients. So, like, my week fills up ridiculously. But, like, then each client, you'll get them a job, and then they go and do their job. And then you'll check back with them in 3 weeks to see how they're doing with the job. The one thing about my business is that we're in it for the journey. Um, we don't send anybody away like the normal mom and pop's place that just kind of, okay, 3 months you've been rehabilitated. You haven't, because life is like a roller coaster, and you have many bumps, ups and downs. um but yeah, I mean, my business blew up to like over 450 clients, but I have an awesome team. I have 5
Right.
recovery coaches, and together we do whatever. If they relapse, we get them into detox. If they need a CSS, we get them. We constantly are plugging. Um,
Wow.
yeah, my days are always full, but
That's pretty amazing.
mm,
I'm sorry to interrupt my own question, which was the name of your business and how you started it. But when you said 80 clients, you threw me for a loop. So tell us again the name of your business and how did you start it?
so when COVID opened, I mean, when COVID came about, my business opened because the company I worked for closed their doors. Um, and I called it RJ because my son is RJ. And
Nice.
I just had him, and I said, what better than to have recovery journey? I'm in it for your journey. It's, you know, and so we've been open since 2000, what was it, 20? Oh my God.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's a journey that we take to help reinvent your life. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how it all came about. I just wouldn't take no for an answer. And the first year of working my company, I had to go through the credentialing process with insurances, and we take all insurances. Um,
Oh,
so nothing comes out of their pocket when they work with us. And uh, yeah, so I just call it
so
RJ Recovery.
nice. Since you've been working in the court system, other than guilty until proven innocent, What do you see in the process within your work and with your clients that's broken in the court system that you say, you know what, this needs to be repaired, it needs a reform. We just can't keep doing it this way. What are some of the things that you see?
That's a tricky question. Um, the stigma is real about people who are addicts, and we're trying to fight the stigma so that people don't get judged for being an addict. However,
Can you elaborate on the stigma
so
before
the
you?
stigma is, the junkies, the alcoholics, the stigma that they're always manipulative, conniving, lying. They choose this life kind of
Mhm.
negativity thing. And some of
I
it
see.
and some of it is true. Like I said, there's good people and bad people. There's some people that get caught up, like myself, in it because I was trying to numb out the pain of why was this 56-year-old man stalking me? And hearing all the legal jargon in the court really kind of like, why me? Why me? Why me? What did I do? What's so wrong with me? And that's
Right.
what I kind of went with. Um, but some the stigma definitely has a negative and a positive connotation because there's some people like myself that can pull themselves out of it. And then there's other people who are stuck by it. Um, and so, back to your question with the court system, I think there needs to be more teaching to the lawyers, the police officers, to understand that, they're people too. They have a
Mm,
mom, they have a dad, they have kids, they have something that, you know, what you see is not their driving force.
right.
I know there's one of the jails out here is doing really well in the sense that they are starting a recovery prevention plan. So I think people are catching on to it. So I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see a really shift of things. Um,
Mhm.
but as of right now, I mean, like lawyers, they do well and they hear my name and they, my male person, um, and they reach out. And then one lawyer through conversation talks to another lawyer. Hey, Rachel helped me with this client. She can help you with this one. I have one client that I think I have every one of his clients.
Mm.
That's how much he's been reaching out to me. So I think there is a positive shift coming. I feel it. I mean, but that's me. I always believe the good in people, and I think the more that I can reach out and talk to somebody, the more that I can convince them that you just got to find the avenues and how to help them.
So is it a part of your job
Hmm.
when you're with a client in court to from the very beginning present them as a lost person that has a family and a life.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and when you do that, have you run into any clients where you're like, this is a tough one,
Yep.
but you find a way to still present them like a lost person?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there is definitely some tough ones, but it's because they've been done dirty by the system. And so they turn their back on a legitimate person that's going to help them. Then when I come to the jail and meet them, they're like, "Why do you care?" And I'm like, "Because I do, because I know what it's like." And then I'll tell them my story and the accounts that I've had and what's happened to me during my drugging phase and drinking and and I think they buy into it, which they should, because they see that there is hope, that there is somebody that's actually doing it. I mean, I have mothers that call me and say, "You've helped my son."
Hmm. Yeah, I would think if I was a client of yours and I lost hope in the court system, I lost hope in being able to help myself. Nobody was there for me.
Mhm.
You're a different you're a different professional that steps in front of every person because you can identify in so many different ways. Where it's like they can tell you can ask them, okay, why are you here? And they can tell you. And while they're speaking, I know you can probably check the boxes and you're starting to understand, oh, here's how I'm just going to get through this person. And then, wow, and you got their attention,
Right.
and that's a gift. I mean, it's like I said at the beginning of the show, it's unfortunate how you've become a counselor, but for your experiences, you identify with every person out there, and then your experience with all the people that you have. I can't see better counselors than you because you've been through it. What you haven't gone through, you've seen it in others, and you've gone through it with others.
True.
450 clients, 80 clients.
Yep.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You to be commended for your work and your ability to reach people. Not everybody can do that. So congratulations to you, Rachel. That's a incredible journey, and you've turned it into an incredible business,
Thank
helping
you.
out.
Thank you.
No, that is
I
Rachel. I will ask you. I've asked you questions based on the audience listening to you, as if they were a client.
mhm.
If someone was trying to reach you today, how could they reach you? How can they reach you right now?
Uh,
They listen, and they're trying to get to you.
they can call me on my cell phone, 781-296-0467. They can go to Facebook and
Wow.
RJ Journey, or they can just go to my website and contact me there. Um,
You are that accessible.
yeah, I'm that accessible. My phone is glued to me.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, repeat your cell phone number again for them.
781-296-0467.
Wow. Call Rachel to get what you need.
Yep.
Help.
Yep.
Rachel, would you like to end the show on? What would you like to say to the audience that is listening to you today?
Build a village. Reach out to me. I will be your biggest supporter in your journey. What is your journey? We are a one stop shop. There's nothing we don't do to help you in your recovery. We're here for your journey. Call me.
Wow. Rachel Pezzuto. Yes. Yes. Licensed ADC specialist. Rachel, thanks so much for being on the show. Your incredible wisdom to everyone. I'm sure you'll be getting phone calls. I don't think you need any more phone calls, but you take them, but that's on you, not me.
No,
But
no,
thanks for coming on the show and sharing. Thank you so much.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Undiscovered Gems with our host, Charles D. Smith, highlighting today's best and brightest business minds. Brought to you by Pods Entertainment Group.